Okay, welcome to part two of my t-shirt collection, which is likely going to go up before my flag collection does because I might have to edit that. But anyways, so the next t-shirt we're going to get into is the Uppsala Universitet. Yeah, Uppsala Universitet uh, t-shirt, which is a bit small, but maybe a bit small for me now. But I got it like last spring, so about a year ago. But yeah, because I just needed a shirt from Uppsala, and the university I was there. There were t-shirts for it, so I'm like, they didn't quite have my size, but I'm like, yeah, I can make it fit. So yeah. Then there's Bunker Hill, which I got in Massachusetts. Um, and it was how shall I? And it was yeah, because that's a hill that is a monument to a battle during the Revolutionary War. It's a pretty interesting battle. Because it didn't really mostly take place on Bunker Hill. It mostly took place on Reed's Hill, but it's still called the Battle of Bunker Hill. Um, it was a loss, but kind of also a win because we were the rebels. We inflicted more than half. We inflicted more than double the casualties they inflicted on upon us. We lost 400. The British lost 1,000. So it was very uh, considerably a win for us. Had we enough ammunition to keep it going, we probably might have ended the war right then and there. But we lost. A, we ran out of ammunition, so the colonists were forced to retreat. Um, and so the British took both hills. And then this is from Denton, Texas. I went and saw their courthouse in Denton, and there's a convenient gift shop just right on the corner of the on the corner of the courthouse square where I got it. I got to see their commissioner's court and everything. Because surprisingly enough, I've seen two commissioners' courts. None of them are my own commissioner's court. I don't know why. That's that's partly my problem because I haven't gone to see. I know where the Dallas Commissioner's Court is. I just haven't seen it yet. It's actually where the JFK Museum is. But yeah, and then there's West Virginia, which I went to. Was a pretty darn cool state to go through. Very, if you're afraid of heights, can be pretty scary to drive through. But yeah, that's my West Virginia shirt. Very interesting. I do tend to wear it a decent amount because I do like wearing it. Then here is the Iowa state capital. Uh, with the Iowa state capital is very interesting. It's different because it has four domes in the background, not just the singular one. So that's makes it a very cool and interesting Capitol building. And so, yeah, it was nice going to Des Moines. All right, now this is a T-shirt I got when I was in Viljandi, Estonia. This is one of my friend's bands. It's Mando Trio, or Mando Trio, as we'd say here. But yeah, they do some cool music with rock. With no, not with rock, but with sort of folk music. And he started up a sort of a folk rock band, Mando Terror, which is sort of like a heavy rock, sort of heavy metal band, and the terror part in the name of the band um, is sort of emblematic of that. Now, disclaimer: these two are completely distinct bands with two distinct identities. There is some overlap in the membership, and they do have one shared song together, which is Angry Birds 2.0. And it's not Angry Birds because they write it out in the with this in how Estonians would read Angry Birds instead of, because if you write Angry Birds how we write it, they would say Angry Birds, Angry Birds, which is more Swedish, but I haven't heard a Estonian pronounce it, so I'm going as closest to the Estonian pronunciation, which would be very similar to the Swedish pronunciation. So yeah, it's angry with 2 dots over the A, and then birds with 2 dots over the O, so it's an and then 2 O's with that, so yeah. And it's sort of a rock version of the previous one. This is Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Now, it's kind of a lame capital shirt, because I bought it online, but it's still a decent Harrisburg, Pennsylvania shirt. It has an outline of Pennsylvania. It has a place where the capital is, says the capital's name. But you can do that for a bunch of them. I think I got a Rhode Island one that's the same deal. But yeah, so I kind of do think I should have gotten a different Harrisburg t-shirt, and if I'm ever back in Harrisburg, I'm very interested in getting a new Harrisburg t-shirt. But yeah, and so this one I got in New York, and it says New York, it has the seal of New York, and then it says 1788. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. You know all about the seal of New York. That's cool. Now I've got my Connecticut one, which just has the Connecticut building. Now, let me go with this. Look at this one. So, yeah, which the Connecticut one, because I know the Connecticut one does have an interesting architecture, and it might be a little bit hard to see. So here's a better view of it. It does say Hartford, Connecticut in a state capital, I'm pretty sure, if you look close enough at it. But yeah, it's got a neat design with it's sort of, it looks sort of Gothic, and it has a bunch of like points at the top, roof points, to give it a neat sort of architectural style. I find pretty interesting. Then before we were went to Capri for our family Italy trip, we were in Positano, which is like a very like an Italian city that's built on a hill, which, if you're afraid of heights like I am, can be very anxiety inducing, because let's just say there's a lot of stairs, and there's a lot of steep stairs that look very scary, especially when there's like a 30-foot drop if you tend to fall over, and especially because on one route, now the stairs are very gradual on this one route, so that's not the problem that's anxiety producing. The problem is the railing is like super short, and of course I'm maybe like above average or average height for male American, and so some about in the high 5 foot. So my height is considerably more than the railing, and it's easily able to, if I were to say lose my balance to the side, I would fall over. That railing is not sufficient enough to catch me. It needs to be a lot higher. So that's my main concern, and it really scared me the fuck out. So, yeah. So they do have great pizza, though the pizza's great all over Italy, so there's no any specific reason to want to go to Positano. It's fairly expensive, just like most of Italy, so a number of places in Italy, so I wouldn't necessarily completely recommend going there. If it's unique and I would definitely recommend looking into, but just know a lot of stairs, and if you're afraid of heights, I wouldn't personally recommend going there because you can see there's lots of other things to do in Italy, like San Marino, Rimini. There's a lot of interesting places in Italy, but though San Marino isn't exactly Italy, which we'll get to, but it kind of is. I mean, it's like the Vatican City, sort of. Then there's the Minnesota State Capitol, which I've been to a number of occasions. I haven't actually been there fairly recently because I've been there and I've had no reason to go there. I've had more reason to go and see. I want to see other places in Minnesota. So I've literally done some just random driving through the various counties, Minnesota, but yeah. And then this is a Jokkmokk t-shirt that I got. Jokkmokk is a city on the very north of Sweden that we went to during my study abroad program. That was because part of it was learning about the Sami culture, and so we went way up to the north of Sweden where we saw all this sort of Sami cultural festivals and stuff. And there's the winter market in Jokkmokk. There's a whole bunch of that whole northern area of Sweden is like Sami cultural central. So yeah. And some of us were able to see the northern lights, though they weren't very prevalent. Because I don't think we were north enough to see the northern lights at that particular time of the year. So it was fairly difficult. Some people that actually ventured farther north to specifically go see them got to see them, but I didn't feel like going out that in the freezing cold at night to go see the northern lights. So yeah. This is a shirt I got at IKEA. It's very simple. It's of a tool. I think I don't know. I haven't assembled a decent amount of IKEA furniture. I only have one chair that I got from IKEA. I can't remember exactly what the name of it was. But yeah. We went to the original IKEA, the IKEA Museum in Älmhult, Sverige, which is in like Småland area, which is very close to Växjö. And so that's where we went. Yeah. So that's a very interesting place to go. I recommend it. This is a t-shirt I got on online because there wasn't really, and we were on a tight schedule when we were in Louisiana. So I got this one. I didn't get the one I got. I could have gotten the one similar standard I got for whatchamacalls it, where they just have a blank Dale of Louisiana in a gray background with sort of blue, and they put a red star roughly around here for Baton Rouge, but I thought that was kind of boring, and I saw this one, so I'm like, hell yeah, I'm getting this one. Alright, so that's that t-shirt. And then another sort of plain Senate t-shirt that I got in Michigan. They didn't have a very large selection of t-shirts. They just had white or navy blue t-shirts that had either House or Senate on them. And I didn't get to see the House because that was under renovation. But I did get to see the Senate, so I decided to, pick the Senate chamber, since that's the chamber I did get to see when I was there in Lansing. Also interesting, when I was there in Lansing, there was a huge Second Amendment event going on, and there were armed protesters in the or armed event goers. I don't know if it was a protest or just a event for gun lovers, and people were in the Capitol with their guns because oddly enough, the Capitol is an open carry area, so you can freely open carry your firearms into the Michigan State Capitol, which I thought was odd because most government buildings, you can't bring your guns in there, even in pretty Second Amendment friendly states. Bringing guns into legislative chambers or the Capitol is considered some no-nos. So yeah, I was pretty surprised at that. Then there's this deal, the home of the original Patriots, the Minuteman National Historic Park, which is about by Lincoln, Lincoln, Massachusetts, between Concord and Lexington, where you had that sort of skirmish where there was in Concord, and then the Patriots retreated to Lexington, where they met up and they got reinforcements. They repelled the British, and then they sort of were harassing the British on their way back to Boston. And so that was an interesting place to go to. I highly recommend you go there if you have the chance. And this is my shirt from the Republic of San Marino, which is an independent country, small independent country, one of the first republics ever formed, and they were largely immune from the unification of Italy around the 1860s, where all these different independent republics, kingdoms, and whatnots were essentially brought under the reign of a singular Italy. And so San Marino managed to, I can't remember exactly how, but they managed to remain out and remain independent by, I guess, making some sort of deal with the main Italian unifiers at the time. Now, they still speak the same language, which is Italian. A San Marino version of it, which is not too different from the surrounding areas of San Marino. Like, I think it's Bolognish, or a type of Bologna or a Rimini type of Italian. So variations of that. It's very similar to that type of Italian. But yeah, and in the previous episode, I believe I mentioned Abraham Lincoln, and he never visited San Marino, but he was made an honorary citizen of San Marino. And because of him, he was president that showed admiration to the country, and they go, "We'll make you an honorary citizen." So what's funny is if if Abe Lincoln wasn't assassinated and he finished out his term, he could have theoretically moved to San Marino and become a president of San Marino if he so chose, because it's pretty darn easy to become a president of San Marino. How do I say pretty darn easy? Because their terms are every 6 months, and they have 2 of them every 6 months. So, I mean, now, so it's fairly likely that that if you're, now, how often would every single person in San Marino become president? Not likely, but is it pretty likely that that you will know a president? Yeah. It's also pretty likely that if you're sort of a very well-known and influential person that is a San Marino citizen, that you will become a citizen of that you will become a president of San Marino. So Abe Lincoln, the chances of him being president of San Marino were pretty high. If should he have ever lived to ever not even just visit there, but ever settle down in San Marino, since he was declared an honorary citizen. All right. So then the next one is Delaware, and I'm going to end it after Delaware. And this is the first state, as you can see. It's got all of their all of the powers that have ever governed the state of Delaware. So they've had the Swedes colonized not Delaware specifically, but mostly Delaware and some bits of Pennsylvania and Maryland in an attempt at colonizing America that was a failure, but they called it Nya Sverige, or New Sweden. And then, of course, I'm not sure, I think this is the Dutch flag. I think they might have had some Dutch. I'm not too familiar with that part of their history. But then they also were colonized by the English pretty famously. And then after Delaware declared itself independent, they joined the United States of their own free volition. So, yeah. Now, I guess since we talked about San Marino in England, or in Abraham Lincoln, I'll do an extra shirt for this one, and let's do Springfield, Illinois. This is the capital of Springfield. As you can see, it says Springfield, Illinois. It's established the capital, which is pretty nice building. And then it says the land of Lincoln, because that's where Lincoln's from. That's where he's buried. And he's got actually a nice tombstone. If you ever have a chance to visit, I highly recommend going. And then we've still got a decent amount of t-shirts left in the stack I've currently got out right now. And then I've got to get out another stack for us to do some other investigating. So, yeah. And then, of course, any new t-shirts. And do you want to see my band t-shirts or other random t-shirts I find not related to the places I've been to? So, yeah. That'll conclude part 2 of my t-shirt series.